Well, hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome into the Farzy Show. My name is Marc Farzy here at the newly designed Steven Singer Studios. It's still a work in progress. Like a restaurant might have a soft open. This is the soft open for our new set. I hope you guys like it. We got so much we got to get into today, obviously, with the Philadelphia Eagles, the Philadelphia Phillies, and none of it's good. Really, none of it's good. It's all actually terrible. Hey, aren't sports fun? But you know what? What better day? What better day to talk about one of our favorite characters, one of our favorite people, one of our favorite sports figures in the history of this city. Today on the show, the great Charlie Manuel will join the program. That's right. Charlie, actually, I talked to him yesterday, as we usually do for these fun little interviews we do. I talked to him yesterday before I decided just to redesign the set, just on a whim. And that's who we'll talk to. We'll talk to Charlie Manuel today on the old set. And then lickety-split, we'll be back to this new one. Isn't that fun? So God's honest truth, here's how it went down yesterday. So I'm doing this little post-game show with Derek Gunn and Devin Caney and John McMullen from SI and Lane Johnson. We'll hear from Lane Johnson coming up in a little bit. And this was the set that I had put together for the show, the new set that I've been working on for a while. And I was using this because we're running demos essentially for the new post-game show, live post-game show, the live post-game show following every Eagles game. And what I decided to do was put this together. And rather than flip it back like I did last week, I said, the hell with it. Soft open. So here we are. Hope you guys are having a great morning thus far. Look forward to having our social media check-in. Also look forward to our morning rush segment as per usual. Now let's get to the topics at hand. I'll get to the Phillies later. We're going to start off with the Philadelphia Eagles. I want to believe, and I think I do believe, that Nick Sirianni's reaction to Jalen Hurts being sick and having a stomach bug, whatever it might have been, a stomach infection. I want to believe that that was the case, that it was sprung up on the Philadelphia Eagles, and they decided, all right, Joe Flacco, you're in. Most of the starters in the offensive line, you're out, and we're just going to play the game that way. I want to believe that that's what went down. But after listening to Nick Sirianni after the game, it's kind of like he kind of gave me the impression of an 8-year-old who you just watched break the lamp, and then you said, hey, what happened to the lamp? And the 8-year-old goes, oh, you're not going to believe it, right? So I was in the living room, and there's the lamp there, and you see the lamp, it's on the ground, and I didn't break it, but you saw it, and it's on the ground, it's shattered, and I was the only one in, right? But here's what had happened was there was, and the lamp broke. It's like, wait, what? Like, I want to believe that you just told me the truth, but it sounded like you tried to just wiggle your way out of it a little bit. And maybe that's just his demeanor. And I think we know well enough by this point to know that it is his demeanor in his press conferences. But Jalen Hurts was out there dancing around. He was out there having himself some fun. And then all of a sudden, Joe Flacco's the starting quarterback. And I think we all looked at each other thinking, wait, huh? What happened? And it turns out Joe Flacco even said after the game that he was in a situation where right after warmups, they came up to him and told him that he was starting. This just seemed like a really weird game for as organized, and maybe having your starting quarterback, even though it's a preseason game, get injured that late or not be available, I should say, that late. Maybe that threw a wrench into all of this, and then you had to go with plan B abruptly. But it just seemed like it was a really disorganized game. For as organized as game one was under Nick Sirianni, this game seemed to be a completely different you-know-what type of show. And it's not a positive one. Long story short, Jalen Hurts goes to the hospital, according to Nick Sirianni, goes to the hospital, gets checked out, has a stomach infection, and he's doing fine now. He thought he came back to the stadium to get his car and then go home after that. It looks like he's going to be sent home for the next couple of days just to get some rest. The next day or two is what Adam Schefter put out there on social media. It's a really, really weird thing. Now, that's my take on it. Let's hear from Nick Sirianni about how all this went down with Jalen Hurts. Here's Nick Sirianni after the game.
What happened with Jalen?
Yeah, he came in. He wasn't feeling great when he came in, and so we put him through pregame warmups, and he wanted to go out there and go through pregame warmups, and he came back in. He still wasn't feeling good, and we evaluated him. We just decided that it wasn't in his best interest to play with what he was feeling, and we evaluated him. He's fine now. He's doing okay now, but that's why we held him out.
Did you send him home?
He actually went to the hospital to get evaluated for his stomach, and like I said, they came back. Everything's good, and he's going to be okay.
What kind of symptoms did he have?
He had pain in his abdomen, and which, for a guy like that to tell us, he's a tough guy, and so it must have been hurting him pretty good for him to let us know about that.
Was the plan?
But you got me now? There we go. I just can't get past how abrupt it all was, how he went from dancing, from shimmying, from taking snaps with Jason Kelce in full uniform, by the way, to, hey, by the way, you're not playing. And I also thought that was interesting. Like, we knew going into this game that Brandon Graham wasn't going to play. We knew going into this game that Fletcher Cox wasn't going to play. Like, that was announced well before kickoff. And those guys were in sweatsuits, basically. But Jason Kelce was in pads. Brandon Brooks was in pads. All those guys looked like they had either played already or they were about to play. It was just a really weird turn of events following this Eagles game. As far as the game went itself, good God, that was terrible. And for all the people that want to say it was just the preseason, who cares? It's just the preseason. I didn't have that type of vibe. Anytime you see your team getting blown out by the way they were getting blown out, anytime you see your team just look completely discombobulated, that's not a good feeling. That doesn't give you warm and fuzzies, regardless of preseason or not. So you know what? On that post-game show I was doing last night, I'm going to be doing throughout the season, live post-game show. You can catch it on this fine media, YouTube, as a matter of fact. Lane Johnson enjoyed the program. And I asked him, I said, I know some fans are watching this, and they're telling themselves over and over again, I know it's preseason. I know it's preseason. I know it's preseason. But you can't help think this isn't the way this is supposed to go. And as it turns out, Lane Johnson, who didn't even play in last night's game, also thought that last night's performance, preseason or not, was unacceptable. Listen to this.
No, it's terrible. I mean, anytime you don't put up anything, I don't care what you're doing. If you're in the nature of competing and being in competition, that's unacceptable. So it is what it is. I don't care if it's preseason or whatnot. There's still a standard to play at this level and to represent yourself and to represent this team. So, and we got a lot of work to do. We haven't done nothing yet. We haven't accomplished anything yet. So, moving forward, we have a lot of work to do. And, it's coming from me and the veterans top down.
I wish I could understand what exactly happened out there. I think we all do. One thing I did see in last night's game that I knew a lot of people were looking forward to, I said it right here on the show yesterday, what I wanted to see was Devontae Smith play. John Clark, our friend over there at NBC Sports Philadelphia, announced that Devontae Smith was going to play in the game, that his knee was healthy enough to go out there. 3 drops right out of the gate. 3 drops. And I thought, first one, all right, hit him right in the hands. It was across the middle. It was a bad play by Joe Flacco because he waited so damn long to throw the football, but it hit Devontae Smith right in the hands. He should have caught that ball, and it was before contact. He was hit right after the ball hit his hands, but it was before contact that he had the opportunity to catch the ball. Then there was a play. It looked like it was a back shoulder read, and that's what Joe Flacco said after the game, that he saw that was open for the pass to Devontae Smith. Devontae Smith didn't turn around until too late, and that's where he put his hands out there too late, couldn't catch the football. That's also on Devontae Smith. It's also on the fact that they had no timing together, practically no timing together. Then the third one, Flacco threw behind him a little bit, still very much a catchable ball. After the game, Devontae Smith was talking about it and just said that it wasn't rust. Don't call it rust. We'll let you hear from him in a little bit. But it was just a matter of just trying to kind of getting on the football field, getting comfortable, making sure he's not taking his eyes off the ball too quick. And that's what he said he did more or less after the game. He said that was also the critique that he had after the game. Nick Sirianni said that there might have been some antsiness, being a little over-eager, being out there on the football field for the first time as a professional. Bottom line, he came away with 2 catches. And there was a tweet out there from Chad Ochocinco that I just was laughing my ass off at. Chad Ochocinco basically just, more or less words, was very impressed with what Devontae Smith was doing to at least get open in that game last night. So you saw him get open on the routes. That was nice. You saw him drop a couple of balls. All right, let's hope that just is a thing of the past already. And then you also saw him go out there and look healthy and leave the game healthy. So as far as I'm concerned, That's all I really wanted to see. I saw the spacing that he was able to create as a wide receiver getting off the line of scrimmage. We all saw that little dig route that he ran. That was perfect for his first catch. And then he had another one later in the game. So I think it was total of 2 catches for 19 yards for Devontae Smith. Overall, I'll take it away as the preseason. He got out of it healthy, and that's all I really need to see at this point with him. Before we move on to the Phillies and that just awful, hideous game yesterday, I do want to look at one of the things from last night's game that I thought was interesting as far as the Eagles go. Alex Singleton, I have never seen – there's 2 things that happened in last night's game that I never saw before. One was a player in the preseason frantically tapping his head to say, can you guys get me the hell out of here, please? I got 7 tackles, and we're about 3 minutes into this game. And that's what Alex Singleton was doing to the sidelines yesterday. I had never seen that before. It again goes to how different this game was on both sides of the football than the preseason opener, where everything looked organized, everything looked like it was great. And this is a starter, Alex Singleton. This isn't some guy that's just thrown into the mix off the bench all of a sudden because it's a preseason game and they want to give him an opportunity. So I'm watching him going, that just seems really weird. And then Nick Mullins comes into this game. I know it's preseason. I know it's preseason. Just keep telling them to repeat that to myself. But I have never seen a quarterback get about 8 seconds to throw the football. Clean pocket. Like spick and span that pocket was. And he fumbles with no contact, bends over to pick up the football, then gets sacked. I've never seen that before. That guy's a veteran. That guy didn't just get into the NFL like in a week. I only bring it up because I think the Eagles are going to have to add another quarterback to this mix because I don't think Nick Mullins is it, man. I don't know who they're going to get. Hey, Nick Foles is a third-string quarterback right now out there in Chicago. Maybe you make a deal for Nick Foles. Bring him back. What the hell? Who cares? I love to see him back in Philadelphia. I mean, hell, they got a banner of his hands and a Super Bowl trophy out there on the link already. They need a quarterback, and that's a scary thought right now to think after the second preseason game that Nick Mullins just can't hang. I have literally never seen that before, executed that poorly. Absolutely awful. All right, before we get to Charlie Manuel, let me get into this here. The Phillies were really bad at baseball right now. And finally, after this latest loss where they got swept by the Arizona Diamondbacks, JT Realmuto finally said something. He said that this team has lacked focus. And he says when you look across the way and you know a team is not really trying to win, that makes you feel even worse for when you don't win that football game. Or that baseball game. And I'm watching this game yesterday afternoon, and I just can't get over the bad baseball I'm seeing. I see again a pitcher pitching his ass off when it comes to Zach Wheeler and what he was trying to bring to the table yesterday. And then in the 7th inning, Phillies get into trouble. They got runners at first and third with nobody out. And a ground ball goes to Ronald Torreyes, who's playing at the bag because the infield's in with no outs and a runner on third. So they're trying to avoid the run. And I just got a freeze frame of this. Ronald Torreyes goes to apply a tag to the runner that's on third base. And instead of just waiting for the runner at the bag, he tries to rush a play in order to attempt a double play with a tag and a throw out at first. It wasn't going to happen. But he tried to rush the play, and this is what ended up happening here. Trying to make the tag at third base. Dumb play. Can't believe it. And then the next thing you know, I think they score 5 more runs in the inning, and the Phillies just look terrible from that point on. They got a couple of runs there in the top of the 9th inning, but really to no avail. It's just dumb baseball. It's panicked baseball right now. When I saw that play yesterday in the 7th inning by Ronald Torreyes, a guy who has played fairly well as a guy that's now essentially a starting third baseman with Alec Bohm being lost. But Ronald Torreyes goes out there, plays third base, gets you some hits yesterday, and I'm watching it and I'm going, this team is in quicksand. And you know what? You can have a team that's struggling. You can have a team that's going through a funk. But when you have a team that's in quicksand and the more they struggle, the more they sink, that's when you know you really have a problem. Coming up in a second, we're going to talk to Charlie Manuel. He'll let us know what he likes to do or what he liked to do as the manager of this team when he saw this team in a funk, how you bring them out of it. We'll talk to him about that. I just can't believe for the life of me that was the play. And that's where I thought, forget about just trying to get back to playing well. This team needs to feel like this team needs to get out of its own way. And reading the quotes yesterday from JT Realmuto after the game, I thought, finally, somebody said something. Somebody addressed the issue. And JT just said that it wasn't a lot of fun to play baseball right now. And the number one reason they were failing was because of a lack of focus. Well, Charlie has an interesting theory on the lack of focus. Now, he came on mostly to promote his show, Down the Line with Larry and Bo, and also my old friend Sam Wilson, of course. And he just spoke brilliantly about everything. And we had about a 20-minute conversation. I hope you enjoy it. And you know what? On a day like today, where we need a little distraction from exactly how the Phillies are doing, and regardless of it being a preseason game, how bad the Philadelphia Eagles looked last night, we need someone that makes us feel good. And Charlie Manuel is certainly somebody that makes us feel good. And also my thanks to Cindy Webster, my old boss, marketing whiz Cindy Webster, who's working a lot with Charlie now, and Greg Murphy was on the show a couple of weeks ago for helping me set up the interview. But I do want to tell you about my good friend Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers. Do what I do, folks. All your big jewelry purchases, go to Steven Singer, the other corner of 8th and Walnut, right there in Philadelphia. Steven's going to take care of you with the perfect price every single day. So you never feel like you go in there, oh, hey, you just missed the sale. The sale was last week or whatever it is. Oh, no, or wait until this date when we're doing a sale. No, every day is the sale. How can you beat that? I'll tell you what, you can't. Because every single day they take care of you with the perfect price. So when you walk in, you know you're not going to be paying more than the person next to you. So whether you're looking to get engaged, and they got Ready for Love diamond engagement rings right there. It's not just a clever name. Ready for Love. You walk in, boom, they're right there, ready for your purchase. So they open up this beautiful box. And they got all sorts of diamond engagement rings in there. Really, it's something for everybody. Or you go a little bit more in depth. You have something a little bit more specific, like me, for instance. And you go in there, and they'll walk you through all the beautiful inventory they have, whether you're looking to get engaged, whether you're just looking for a big purchase, whatever it might be, a beautiful gift. Steven Singer's the way to go. Go to IHateStevenSinger.com. That's IHateStevenSinger.com. And make sure you get taken care of, like I do every time I go to Steven Singer Jewelers. That's IHateStevenSinger.com. Without further ado, let's talk to, on the old set. I'll jump over to the old set. And joining us on the Rothman Orthopaedics guest line, Charlie Manuel stops on by. And joining us right now on the Rothman Orthopaedics guest line, the winningest manager in Phillies history, 08 World Series champion. You know him, you love him, he really needs no introduction. And how about this? I never thought I'd say this. TV host, Down the Line with Charlie and Bo, which you can catch before and after Saturday Phillies games. The man himself, Charlie Manuel. What's going on there, Charlie?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I'm doing fantastic. It is great to be able to catch up with you. And how about that? Did you ever think you'd be putting a TV personality on your resume along with Larry Boa?
No, not at all, really. When I look at it sometimes, I kind of walk away because, I expect, I look at it sometimes, I know that, I got to really practice a lot on acting, really.
How about Larry? Does Bo look in the mirror and rehearse his lines?
No, I'll tell you something. Larry's pretty good, really. He's got experience at it. Of course, when he was on MLB, and he's been on a lot of shows before. When he was a player, and also when he was a manager and stuff like that. And yeah, he's got a pretty good grip on it.
Mm-hmm. And I know your host as well, Sam Wilson. I used to work with her. She's just an awesome person. And I couldn't be happier that she was able to link up with you and Bo for this show. How's Sam been doing so far?
He's been doing great. She's she does her work fine. She's up. She really takes it seriously, and she does a tremendous job. Not only that, she's a very pretty woman.
She is. She's awesome in all aspects, no doubt about that. You of course, I saw you guys doing an episode. I never thought I'd see Charlie Manuel and Larry Boa. I believe you were with the Temple Crew team. Right on the Schuylkill. You guys were just with Merrill Reese. I mean, you guys are having all these different experiences. What's that been like for you?
That's been very good, and also getting to talk to our guests, our hosts, and stuff like that is good. Very good. And I enjoy everything about it, and I'm learning a lot about some of the other coaches and some of the announcers in the area and all that. Yeah, it's outstanding, really.
Before I hit record on this interview, you were saying how you just wanted some more interaction with some fans, people that watch the show. You guys are on Instagram, you guys are on YouTube. Down the line with Charlie and Bo, I should say, is the name of the show. And you're just looking for some more fan interaction, right?
Right. When Larry and I talked about it, of course, we wanted to do something and actually be talking to the fans, getting some feedback from the fans as far as, just wanting to talk baseball and talking to us, places that we go and people that we see and things like that. And it's starting to work out real good. I enjoy everything about it, really.
Now, you guys just wrapped up about a week and a half ago, Hall of Fame weekend for the Phillies. What was that whole experience like for you?
Well, like outside of the people honoring the honorees, it was good to hear Lenny talk about Dave Montgomery, and because he's such a great guy, and people talk what they say about him is all true. And then, of course, Manny Trio went on the wall, and I used to play in the minor leagues against Manny. Manny was a tremendous player. I was happy for him. Raul Ibanez, I got a lot of time to talk to him. Like some of my players, Ryan Howard, Jimmy Rollins. It was really quite, it was quite warming. I got to sit up in the box, Middleton's box, and talk baseball with guys like Sarge and Mike Schmidt and all these guys that I know. That was tremendous, of course.
I have to bring it up. Raul Ibanez, I got to say, Charlie, his Charlie Manuel impression was pretty spot on. What'd you think of it?
It was all right. It was good, But matter of fact, he did a heck of a job, I felt like, when he was talking. And he does a good job with MLB. He works for them. And I don't know exactly title, but he does he's a big time person in my book, really.
You don't do a Raul Ibanez impression, do you?
No, not at all. No.
Roy Halladay obviously was one of the people honored over that weekend. Work ethic, I know people always talk about with Roy Halladay. Is there a specific Roy Halladay story that jumps to mind when you think about his life and career?
Yeah, well, when basically the things I think about, like when I used to walk out to the mountain, take him out because I knew exactly who Roy was. Like a lot of people, they see Roy pitch, but they don't get to know the real Roy Halladay. And when he pitches a game, you don't say too much to him. You walk out to the mount when it's time to go get him, and you don't say too much. You just say, "Hey, Roy." He stares at you and he looks at you. And the reason he does that because he still wants to pitch, and he's that kind of a fighter. And also, he thinks he's bigger, stronger, and in better condition than anybody. And then he thinks he can take on any hitter up there. And he gets if he's not successful, he don't take it too good. But he don't say much. He just comes back in a very professional way, and sits down, and he'll come in after the game or something like that and say, "Hey, Chuck, I could have finished that game today. I hope you know that." And then basically that's all he would say.
What would Charlie say? What would you say to that?
I would say that's good. I knew you wanted to finish, but at the same time, too, when I look up, I didn't want you to go over 130 or 140 pitches.
Charlie, as a man that spent such a long time, I mean, your whole life's in baseball, man. When you look at this pitch count thing, and I know it's nothing new, but it seems to be affecting more and more pitchers. It seems to be getting more and more strict. What do you make of pitch count? With all your knowledge of baseball, what do you make of this whole pitch count subject in Major League Baseball?
Well, I think, like these days, I guess from ownership down to what goes on the field, we think that they're trying so hard to keep a guy healthy. And the game changes. The game has changed a lot since I first started playing baseball. Ours changes in baseball. People might not realize it, about every year or every 3 or 4 or 5 years, and there's some major changes. But at the same time, nowadays, when I was managing, of course, we stretched our starters in spring training out to over. They threw 100 pitches at least 3 or 4 times. and they were stretched out to throw up to like 115 when the season started. And our relief pitching, of course, instead of being stretched out to like 1 inning or 2 innings, they were stretched out to so many pitches like 50 or 60. And we found that kept them healthy, you know, like all year mostly, you know, like more than today, of course. But at the same time, too, you know, like I think it's very important that the conditioning part of baseball, on our thinking part of it, from my philosophy, you know, like I would like my first 3 starters have to get me into the 7th inning, kind of on a regular basis. And now if they, at the end of the season, if you look up and they average out at 7 or over, that's okay. But sometimes there is time when they should finish a game, if that makes sense. You know, like if they cruising good. Well, nowadays, you know, like it's kind of set in stone that, you know, like when they get to a certain part in the game, that there's a good chance they're coming out. And, you know, like, so that's one of the things that's changed. And also, I think that they think too much about the health part of the game, because in the old days, and people say old school, I don't believe in that. I believe in good school. I believe in right school. And, you know, what's right for me sometimes nowadays is arguments in today's conditioning part of baseball, and also the fundamental part and the situational part. So, you know, like it's where it's at. What it is what it is. And up until, you know, like they go in another direction or something, I think it's going to be that way for a while. You know, like they definitely rest more, and they got more time off. And we got 16 pitchers, you know, like back when I played, you know, like you could carry 9 or 10 pitchers. When I was a manager, 11 pitchers were a whole lot. So, you know, like that is a change in the game. I'm not saying it's a good or bad. I'm just saying that what you see and what's going on, you know, like tells the story.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. And I love that you just said that it's not old school, it's good school. Because I remember specifically you saying that a lot about Chase Utley when you were managing him here in Philadelphia. You mentioned a couple of guys that played for you. I've had the opportunity to interview some of the guys that played for you, Ryan Howard, Chase Utley, Brad Lidge being another one. And his highlight is how much of a player's manager you were and how you managed each guy individually because you just knew their personality and knew what they needed to hear. What makes, in your opinion, Charlie, what makes a good player's manager? What makes that guy that can just tap into the talents of a particular player as often as you were able to do?
I think getting to know them is a big thing. Communication. I think they got to get to know you. And I think you got to be very honest to them. And what happens is people don't, I don't think that they really realize, you know, like how honest I was toward them. And also, but at the same time, too, I think the players nowadays definitely have to be disciplined. And, you know, like in some time, you know, like it gets into, you know, like a kind of a harsh situation, but at the same time, you can work them out just by being very firm and honest, and also respecting that guy to be honest with you, if that makes sense. But working them every day is part of it. You know, like to me, the personality of a guy, you know, like you know, like I'm going to talk about things that he's interested in and how to get to him. And, you know, like, and I'm going to be very honest with him. You know, like some guys I can hit on. Raul's one of them. You know, I can stand there and he'll hit me back and things like that. And there's some guys, you know, like that you got to kind of coddle and things like that. But you got to be mental tough to play the game. So why shouldn't I want to teach that as I'm coaching someone? And, you know, like winning a baseball game, you know, like when we had a great bunch of guys, I've always said that. But winning a baseball game, you know, like we come to the ballpark every day to win. I mean, and nobody was looking for me to rest them. You know, like the trainer would come in there a lot of times and tell me that this guy needs rest, and I would hear him. But at the same time, that game was more important to me than that one guy resting. I'm going to try to find another game or somewhere down the road to rest him. And if I don't find that road, you know, like he might end up playing 162.
Was it more difficult to tell Roy Halladay he was coming out of a game, or was it more difficult to tell Chase Utley he was getting a day off?
I think I think actually at the start probably Utley.
Okay.
Utley getting a day off, you know, like he definitely didn't. He never wanted the day off, And sometimes I would hey, look, it got a little nasty every now and then because, like I just finally have to say, well, you're resting today whether you like it or not, going out there and sit down, like it. And he'd look at me, and he wouldn't say nothing, but you could tell he wanted to. But
You let him say his piece. You let him say his piece.
Exactly.
You mentioned getting to know a guy. Did you ever have to learn something or look into something you never thought you would? Like, I'm just, as an example, I know Brad Lidge is really into archaeology. Did you ever have to look up something on archaeology or just anything random to try to tap into a player's psyche?
Yeah, I think that Mike Marshall taught me that. The pitcher, Mike Marshall, got through a screwball. I used to catch him in the bullpen at Dodger Stadium. And believe me, this guy, he was so much smarter than I was. And, I couldn't keep up with him. He was that intelligent. But eventually, I got to the place where I liked talking. He'd always sit beside me on the bus or something like that and kind of talk to me. And I would wonder why, because, he was up there at another level. But at the same time, too, once I got to know him, I figured, that how to really, have a conversation with him and, things that he liked and basically, what I had to tell him about his pitching, I might have to go in this direction to get what I wanted my ideal to be, if that makes sense.
Sure. No, it absolutely does. The Phillies right now, unfortunately, Charlie, are in a bit of a rut. When you were managing, I mean, every manager has gone through those times where it just seems like people can't do anything right. What can you do as a manager? Like, when a team's not exactly playing to the best of their ability, or if they're playing down to an opponent, what can you do as a manager, if anything, to help turn things around?
You come to the ballpark and be very positive every day. You can turn it around. You look up and you say to yourself, we got 40 some games to play, 45 or whatever. And you think to yourself, there's a number that I would say that I'm thinking about that would get us in the playoff. And therefore, I sit down and I kind of look at our schedule, and if just start winning games every day you come to the ballpark, if you play like it's when the season starts to play every game to win, you'd be surprised sometimes you're gonna have streaks where you lose and win. And I'm talking about 5-game losing streaks or 8-game winning streak and things like that. But if you just stay with them and winning the game is the most important thing. I know nowadays there's a lot of show in the game. Like when you look at it, a lot of entertainment. When they hit home runs, they got their own agenda. They wear a sport coat or they got a straw hat and all this and things. But I think what we don't really understand is the time that celebration is going on. The game don't have time to work its way back in, and the time to work its way back in, like that momentum thing. And sometimes the game, the show to me gets, lose focus to the game at times. And you got to really stay focused definitely down the stretch. And everyone's got to be on the same side. Everybody's got to, want to come to the ballpark and do their job. And I mean, if you get an everyday team that does that, and I think the second half of the season, I've seen the Phillies have some spark about them and fight, and they've lost the first 2 to Arizona, but at the same time too, they come out today and they just try to win today's game. There's still a lot of baseball left, and they still got time to catch up. A good example of that would be, I would say, 207, and also in 208, 207, we came from, I don't know exact numbers, but we came so far back in the last 20 games to catch up 7 or 8 games. So, they can do that. I mean, but they gotta stay focused on what they're doing. I don't like that personally myself, and I'm speaking only for me. I don't like a lot of the celebration in the game nowadays because the focus of the game. I believe if a guy hits a home run, he comes back and he gets praised for it. And he hits everybody's hands, goes back over and gets a drink of water, comes back and sits down, and the game goes right back into a flow. And if you celebrates too long, there's ups and downs. And at the end of the game, sometime when you see teams that's in last place and they've been losing all year, and they celebrate like it when they win a game like it's a World Series or something. No, it's an even keel game. Up and downs are going to be there. So therefore, don't like when you do something great, all of a sudden when you make a mistake, that's a downer. If you follow what I'm saying, that's what I believe. And if staying focused is what it's all about, and loving to play the game.
There's 162 of these. Don't get too high during the highs. Don't get too low during the lows is what you're saying.
Exactly.
I got you. A couple more for you, Charlie. Now that you're a TV host, now that you're a TV personality, do you have a dream interview? Do you have someone that you'd really love to interview and, really try to crack the code on that person's personality?
Actually, I would, when you say, do I have someone, I like to have a baseball panel where we can have analytics and baseball people sit down and communicate and discuss, just have a discussion on, like how to play the game, or, in a very communication way, because there's a lot about analytics, like things that some of the data that they have, I like, but there's some of course I would question, especially from, like just the mental and physical state of playing the game.
Is there an example that comes to mind? Like just one thing that you would look at and go, I don't know if I need that stat.
I would, there's some stats, especially in offense and hitting, that I would like to sit and discuss with people. But at the same time too, like I'm not for sure if I would want my hitters to know a lot of the information that they got. Like I don't know if I'd want to tell the player that or not, because he starts thinking too much. When he gets up to hit, he wants to think, where's his hands at? Where's my feet at? I haven't gotten hit off a curveball in 10 days. And all this things like that. Instead of and hitting is being positive. It's not letting negativity creep into your head or mind or whatever you want to call it.
Right. What's better? Working with Sam Wilson, working with Larry Boa, or working more with the great marketing whiz Cindy Webster? What's just better? What's better there? What's the best part?
That's a tough. I'll tell you something. That's a tough question. But actually, like when I watch Cindy Webster and she's been around, I think sometimes that you got to get to know her, and she's been around enough that if she's part of something, she's going to try to look for something good for you, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah.
But I enjoy working with all three of them, really, believe me.
Cindy was my boss at WIP for a year. I don't know if you knew that. And I think that she has more pictures with you than children have with Santa Claus. I haven't done the numbers yet, but I think that's true.
Yeah, I tell her she has 5,000 at least, because you're right. Hey, but at the same time too, Cindy is a very dedicated person, and really, I think a lot about her.
She's the best. She's the absolute best. And last thing for you, Charlie, just a fun one I want to end on here. When it comes to when we were all going through quarantine, we're all going through that. What was Charlie Manuel watching? Did you have a go-to show that you and the lovely Missy, were watching throughout quarantine? What did Charlie Manuel watch?
Baseball.
That's right.
I watched. Actually, see, I was going through a health problem myself. And during that time, and if there was a game on the West Coast at night, I could get to see 3 games during the day. And believe me, I watched all 3 of these games. Seriously.
I don't doubt it even a little bit. I thought you would answer that. And I didn't want to bring it up, but you're feeling good? How are you feeling? You look great.
I feel real good. I've had a great time just getting out this year, going to the ballpark and seeing our minor leagues and of course, big league games. I'm a big fan of the Phillies. I mean, like nobody's any bigger than I am about wanting them to play good and things like that. I follow them. I watched last night's game, and I was happy about Odubel hitting the ball good. But of course, winning the game came first to me.
Mm-hmm. Of course. Well, you look like $1 million. You said the minor leagues. Bryson Stott, real deal. You like that kid?
Yeah, he's got a chance to be good. Right now. He's a very good hitting prospect.
Awesome.
Yes.
And I know you guys have the episode with Down the Line coming up with Charlie and Bo. You guys are actually going to sit down with Carlos Ruiz, with Chooch himself. You guys talked to him out there in Reading.
Yeah, we had a very good interview, I felt like. Yeah, and you'll get to see it. It's coming.
I can't wait. Down the Line with Charlie and Bo. Catch it on Saturdays before and after Phillies games. It's a must-see. Charlie Manuel, Larry Boa, and, of course, my good friend Sam Wilson as well. Charlie, I can't thank you enough. And also follow the show on Instagram, on Twitter, and also check it out on YouTube as well as NBC Sports Philadelphia. Charlie, great catching up with you, man. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Hope to talk to you again soon.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it, man. Always good seeing you.
Always good seeing you. The great Charlie Manuel joining us on the Rothman Orthopaedics guest line. A lot to unpack right there, but let me just start off by saying, I just feel a lot better after talking to Charlie. It really is as simple as that. I feel more calm about life. I feel more ready for the weekend now that I've talked to Charlie Manuel. And just good times. Good times right there talking to Charlie. Really, seriously enjoyed conversations with him. And you know what? I would watch that show of Charlie calling out the stat nerds. Basically, that's what I got out of it. That he wants to do a show with analytic geeks, and I feel like they would present their case, and Charlie would just be like, "Shut up, nerd." I feel like that's the way that would go. But my thanks to Charlie for jumping on with us, and also my thanks to Cindy Webster for helping me set up that interview. Make sure you check that out down the line with Charlie and Bo. So make sure you check that out. Let me tell you right now about our good friends at Rothman Orthopaedics, who sponsor our fine guest line. When you have an orthopedic issue, you need a physician who eats, sleeps, and breathes orthopedics. You need an exceptionally specialized Rothman Orthopaedics physician. They not only specialize in orthopedics, but each of their physicians only focuses in on one area of the body, which means you can have the confidence to get past the pain and be what you were. Visit them in one of their 30-plus locations in Pennsylvania and New Jersey. Plus, how about this? 4 orthopedic-only urgent cares. Learn more at RothmanOrtho.com. That's RothmanOrtho.com. Excuse me. Enjoy that one, folks. Steak and Maine, Dan Malley, April. Steak and Maine, fine dining in the heart of Northeast Maryland. Whether you like to dine in the more upscale steakhouse or casual bar and patio, you'll enjoy the highest quality of prime meats, fresh seafood, world-class oyster bar, and freshly prepared sushi. All that, and an extensive wine list featuring their own Cavada Cellars wines. Open every day for lunch, dinner, or Sunday brunch. Steak and Maine in Northeast Maryland voted #1 place for steaks in America by the Cooking Channel and the Travel Channel. Check them out for yourself at steakandmaine.com for more information. 2-pound tomahawk steak, Pinot Noir from Cavada Cellars Wines, and you're on your merry way. Also want to thank PHL Sports Nation. That's Philadelphia Sports Nation, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience. So make sure you check out all the great things that they have to offer at phlsportsnation.com. Let's jump on in to our little segment we like to do here, our social media check-in, brought to you by Steak and Maine at steakandmaine.com. I see the comments section all over the place, folks. Absolutely all over the place. You guys are a fan of the new set. Thank you very much. We hope to, to spruce it up just a little bit more, obviously. Are you ever really done a set? No, you're not. Dan saw my good morning, Dan. Good morning, Mally. Good morning, April. Good morning, T-Bro. What's happening, T-Bro? What's up, Dak NJ? What's up, all you guys? Fine morning to all yous guys. Dan saw my tweet last night where I was feeling the little droplets of knee-jerk reaction rage. He said I would call that a successful preseason game then. The goal is to prepare you for the season, right? It's a good point, Dan. It's a good point. But I'm going through the emotions last night. And as I told you earlier, I'm getting these little feelings of rage. I'm getting these feelings of anger when I see Devontae Smith drop a ball, when I see Nate Herbig all of a sudden thrown in at center, snapping a football over, how tall is Joe Flacco? Like 8'9", and he still snapped it over his head. I see all that unfold, and I see Zach McPherson, by the way, who just had a dreadful game last night, got beat like a drum, as the old cliche goes. And I'm like, I'm getting angry. And I'm like, it's just preseason, relax. And then I see another bad play, and it's like, I'm getting angry. And then you see another bad play. It's just, it's unfortunate. And so that's why when I had the opportunity to ask Lane Johnson about whether or not games like that, even in the preseason, still bother him, and he's like, hell yeah, that still bothers me. It actually makes me feel better because I know I'm not the only one going through it. And Lane didn't even, Lane, like you and I, didn't even play last night. And he was still very much annoyed by what he saw on the field of play. What else, Dan? What else you got here? Phillies flipped over the table. Yeah, nobody flipped over that table yet. Still, I'm happy that JT Realmuto at least said something about focusing, and that team needs to focus, and I'd love to see them start to focus as soon as humanly possible. Mally, good morning to you as well. April likes Uncle Charlie. How could you not love Uncle Charlie? April saying it looked like it was the first time they had ever played together. Timing was totally off. They looked like they weren't even working off the same playbook. As far as Joe Flacco and Devontae Smith went, that was exactly what I thought on the back shoulder play. And then you saw the same type of thing on the crossing route before they finally got on the same page for Devontae Smith's 2 catches in the game. But as you're watching those plays, those last two drops by Devontae Smith, the first one, the second one, I thought on the one down the sideline, it's timing. It's all about timing. Joe Flacco said after the game that he just kind of had to read where Devontae Smith was on that play. He put it in a spot where he could get it, and Devontae Smith said he was just late turning around to the football. It happens. The crossing route, again, it happens because it's timing. Did it hit him in the hands? Yes. Should it have been a catch? Yes. All 3 of them should have been catches. The first one is the most egregious. Even though Joe Flacco waited forever to deliver that football, that's a ball that Devontae Smith has to catch. He said the same thing after the game. We'll let you see in our morning rush exactly what I mean. We'll let you hear from Devontae Smith about how he feels he played in the game last night. So we'll talk about that. Dan, I told you I could have used Whitesnake. Nate Gary. I once asked Whitesnake how he got that nickname. And he said he got it in college, but apparently he gave me one variation of how he got the nickname, and there's apparently about 4 or 5 variations of how he got the nickname. So I really don't know what to believe. Trent's checking in. Good morning, Trent. What's happening? Nice to have you aboard here. Lester, what's going on, Lester? That was a terrible performance last night. Really all around. Phillies, they got you. The Phillies were your appetizer of crap last night, yesterday afternoon. And then it's like, oh, wait, there could be more crap? And then you watched a preseason football game. That was fun. Mally's saying bring back BDN. Why not? Wouldn't mind it even a little bit. There's something about that. There's something we put in the water here that just makes him really good at football. Wouldn't mind seeing him back here. Dan's checking in saying that Charlie is more of a clue than Girardi. I don't think you're far off. I don't think you're far off at all. Mally's saying, you're playing hooky today, Mally. Good for you, man. Enjoy your time. Enjoy the time off. Dak and Jay wants to know what was in the Wawa bag with Charlie. I think he's been asked that. I don't remember what he said was in the bag, but maybe next time around. April says Charlie wasn't afraid to tell players when they were screwing up. Yeah, and Dan points out it's a lost art. You're damn right it's a lost art. You need more honest managers in baseball as soon as humanly possible. I think this Phillies team could use somebody shaking them up a little bit. I love that JT Realmuto came out and actually said something after the game, but I just hope that in this next series coming up here, and it's going to be a tough one, I hope that they can turn things around. I hope that once they acknowledge the problem, they can go ahead and solve it. And if they lose again today, it's just going to be more of that quicksand. It's going to be more of that sinking feeling. And every single middle of August, it feels like this is what happens. I feel like they give you some kind of hope, like they can actually do something. They get some kind of momentum. They threaten first place, obtain first place in this case, and then they just fall apart. And that Ronald Torreyes play yesterday was the perfect example of quicksand. What else? What do we have here? Oh, Gipper's back. What's up, Gippers? Grippers. Sorry, I did it again. Grippers. Don Cherry from Villanova. Wow, that's going a little back there. My man. Is Ryan Sandberg still alive? Eric Torty wants to know. I don't know. Dave, Charlie seems like a pot pie guy. Who wouldn't? If you're not a pot pie person, what's wrong with you? All right? Pot pie is delicious. I really enjoy. Here's a little helpful hint. If you enjoy truffle, you like a truffle, a nice truffle. I enjoy a nice little sprinkle of truffle salt on my pot pie. I open it up. Hey, little truffle salt on that. Your day's made right out of the gate, right there. Thanks very much to everyone who checked in on our social media check-in brought to you by Steak and Maine at steakandmaine.com. Ooh, I did want to get our poll question that was put together by our producer Jim, obviously. And where are we at right now on this poll question? We asked the question whether or not you want to see Jalen Hurts play in the preseason finale next week against the New York Jets. And as of right now, the poll question stands at 72% want to see Jalen Hurts play next week. And I think you got to play him. I think it comes down to you got to get that timing down. What's wrong with a series or two? Why not get him out there again? Get him on the same page as Devontae Smith. See if it's any different than what you saw early in the early goings of Joe Flacco. So that's what I'm looking at right now. That's what I'd like to see. I know people look, injury. Yeah, it's football. Don't get into football unless you know that there's injuries. Series or two, it's preseason. Get him out there, see what he can do. They were going to do that anyway this time around, so I don't get it. I think you got to play him. Thanks to everyone that checked in on our social media. Check out brought to you by Steak and Maine and steakandmaine.com. Let's move it into our morning rush, just like we had with Charlie Manuel. A nice little breathe in, breathe out, relaxation period right there. You know what else we could use is a laugh. Before we hear from Devontae Smith after the game, let's see a man that I think just wants to make you laugh. That's a former guest of this show, Landon Dickerson, ladies and gentlemen, as captured by our good friend John Clark of NBC Sports Philadelphia. Yeah. That's the attitude we need. I look forward to him actually playing. That'd be fun. But if you guys remember, this is an obscure poll, but if you guys remember when the Houston Texans were on Hard Knocks, Vince Wilfork showed up just like that. And I thought what Landon Dickerson was doing was paying a tribute to Vince Wilfork. I don't know if he was or not, or if he was just being silly. Whatever it was hilarious. Good on you for that. That was one of the things that we looked at last night and we could laugh about a little bit. We could enjoy a little bit. The other thing before the game was Jalen Hurts just being on the football field dancing, and then next thing you know, Joe Flacco's under center. I still can't figure it out. But I promised that we'd hear from Devontae Smith. Here's Devontae Smith after the game on his performance.
Nick thought he saw some antsiness from you early. Did you feel that?
No, I mean, just stuff just happened. Got to make the plays they expect me to make.
That one back shoulder down the sideline from Joe. Are you supposed to get your eyes around earlier on that one?
Yeah. I took too long to look back at the ball. I mean, that's a great throw by Joe. I just got to do my part.
How did it feel to get that first catch out of the way? I mean, I know obviously the start was a little bit rough for you, but then you got the first catch that kind of set you straight, so to speak.
Yeah, I could say that's kind of how it is. I mean, when you're having a rough time just catching the ball, just once you get that first one, then it's like, okay, I got it now. So just getting back into it.
I feel like you had to knock off a little rust there, I guess, missing 2 weeks and just kind of getting back a little bit earlier in the week.
I wouldn't call it rust. I would just say I wasn't focusing on catching the ball. I mean, trying to look back too fast before I caught the ball.
I know it can be frustrating, and I think Devontae Smith is really frustrated. I think you could have played sports at any level, and it really doesn't have to be pros. It doesn't have to be college. I mean, how you can. It's just you picked up you played a sport at some point, and there was just any given play where you just didn't perform the way you wanted to, and somebody says after you, "Oh, you little nerves," and you could have not have been affected by nerves in the least bit. You just missed the shot or whatever it was. It is really annoying when people just jump to the conclusion that you were nervous, you were jittery, you were anxious, whatever it might have been. And I think Devontae Smith kind of put out that vibe last night. He just missed. I don't think he was too small for the moment. I don't think he was nervous. I don't think he was jittery. I don't think the moment got to him, anything like that. I think that he was frustrated more so with, yes, obviously how he played because it wasn't up to the level that he wants to play at, but people asking him or insinuating that the moment was too big. And I think that's the vibe he put out last night, that it wasn't about being too small for the moment. He just messed up. Sometimes you just mess up. Charles Barkley, I remember interviewing him one time, and he was talking about how not everybody chokes. Sometimes they just don't perform. And this is an example of that from last night. And I'm not going to freak out about it. I'm not going to lose my mind over a couple of drops. I was making a joke about it. As a matter of fact, he dropped the ball, and now he's officially an Eagles wide receiver. I don't look at it as anything to really be concerned about. It's just an opportunity for him to go out there next time and get it done. I'm hoping that the Eagles go out there and get it done next week, on Friday against the New York Jets to wrap up this preseason, put a bow on it before they go out there and actually start the regular season. I am all for Jalen Hurts going out there and starting. Give him a series or two. Give him an opportunity to play one more time, and then see also what Devontae Smith can do when he's on the same page with a guy that he has been working out with in the offseason and a guy that he has caught the vast majority of his practice balls from thus far. My thanks to Charlie Manuel, ladies and gentlemen, for joining the show today. Great to have Charlie on. My thanks again to my friend Cindy Webster for helping me line that up. My thanks to everybody in the chat for hitting us up throughout the show today, and thank you kindly for enjoying the brand new set here at the Farzy Show, the brand new Steven Singer Studios, if you will. My thanks to Jim Hyden, who produced the program. This is a Buzz Sports and Entertainment production. Ladies and gentlemen, guess what? Bonus me today. Go ahead and flip on over to Fox 29 at about 7:45 this morning. You'll see me on with Mike Jarek and Alex Holly talking all things Eagles and all things Phillies as well. Have a great weekend, everybody. Talk to you on Monday morning. Take it easy.